أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to Tuesday night program Dua Tawassul. Inshallah we'll start off by the recitation of dua and as always followed by a short speech. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي يا ابن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله Ask for your hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات فاتحة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن يطع الله والرسول فأولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا صدق الله العلي العظيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. On this very blessed night, Tuesday night, when we recite this dua Tawassul, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He brings the hajat of all of the mu'mineen who prayed along with us tonight, and those who prayed for others and their family members. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfill their hajat with the barakat of this dua. And at the same time, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength and tawfiq to withstand the difficulties that we face. Of course, while we make dua to avert any type of calamity, but at the same time, we embrace it with open arms because there might be some good in it for us. I chose this ayat from Surah Nisa, ayat number 69. And the reason behind choosing this ayat is because I wanted to briefly speak about our second Imam, Imam Hasan Mujtaba, alayhi salatu wassalam. And while you might be wondering that it is the month of Rabiul Awwal, and it's the 25th night of Rabiul Awwal, and what does that have to do with Imam Hasan Mujtaba, alayhi salatu wassalam? It is an important day in the history, if you study the history of our second Imam. After the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen on the 21st night of Ramadan, right away Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba became the Khalifa al-Zahiri, so the fifth caliph for Muslim Ummah. Of course, he was the Imam from the Shahadat of our first Imam. He assumed the responsibilities of Imamat. But from the Muslimin's perspective, he was the fifth Khalifatul Muslimin. If you go through the list of Khulafa Rashidin according to them, and Imam Ali would be the fourth one, and Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba was the fifth one. With that said, Imam's Khilafat was not more than 5 months long. So it began in the towards the end of Ramadan. And then you have Shawwal, Ziqat, Zilhijj, Muharram, Safar. And then in the month of Rabiul Awwal, on this 25th or 26th day of the month of Rabiul Awwal in the year 41 after Hijrah. So 40 after Hijrah is the Shahada of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and the year 41 after Hijrah. On this day, Imam ﷺ made a peace treaty with Amir Sham. And this is where the struggle came to an end, when Imam ﷺ chose to sit down and make this peace treaty, which actually would serve the better purpose than the ongoing struggle that continued from the time of Imam Ali with Amir Sham, and he wanted to pursue upon it. There was a difference that in the time of Imam Hasan, he would continue, and he would have continued the same struggles that Amir al-Mu'mineen had in the form of Battle of Siffin and other battles. But Imam ﷺ was betrayed by his own people and his own followers, and therefore Imam ﷺ didn't have too many options. But the best of the options that Imam ﷺ had was to safeguard the Ummah and to go ahead and make this peace treaty with Amir Sham. And so that took place on the day of 25th, 26th of Rabiul Awwal in the year 41 after Hijrah. So the total reign of Khilafat of our second Imam, Zahiri, Khilafat Zahiri, according to the Muslimin in general, was about 5 months and a few days. And if you count 5 months and a few days, it will end on the day Imam ﷺ made this peace treaty. So I chose this ayat. So very quickly, I'll just recite the translation and then some of the points in reference to the peace treaty that Imam ﷺ had made. It's a good historical lesson for us to ponder over the current situations at that time, what Imam ﷺ was facing, and why he chose this route. So the ayat says, whoever obeys Allah and his apostle, they are with those whom Allah has blessed, including the prophets and the truthful, the martyrs and the righteous. And excellent companions are they. وَحَسُنَ أُولَٰئِكَ رَفِيقًا. And the word Hasan has appeared in this ayah. So as I mentioned, today in the year 41 after Hijrah, Imam Hasan made a peace treaty with Amir Sham. There were many conditions to this peace treaty. Only 6 or 7 or 8 of them are usually surfaced, and we talk about them, but in some other books, more conditions are also mentioned. So Imam ﷺ, when he sat down, and then there was a khutbah that Imam gave after the peace treaty, which also was a, Imam's last nail in the coffin for Itmam Hujjat and given the ultimatum. So one of the conditions, these 8 conditions that I have, and I will go through them quickly. First, Imam ﷺ, and there's no specific order that I am going with. It could be that it might be in different order in certain books, and some books may have mentioned it in other orders. But if you think about it, you can go ahead and actually categorically pick and put them in an order which would make more sense. That how Imam started off with something basic, and then Imam worked his way to something which was general, and then something to which was specific. So the first condition that I have it for you, that Imam ﷺ said in this peace treaty, he said to Muawiyah that أن يعمل معاوية بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله, that you, O Muawiyah, will work and you will act according to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. That you would accept the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will give hukum based on the ahkam taught by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which tells you that Amir Sham did not come to power just now. He's been the Amir of Sham for quite some time now, and he has been the ruler of the people over there, albeit usurpably, but he has been the leader and the ruler of the people over there. And even during the Khilafat al-Zahiri of Amir al-Mu'mineen, all of those wars that took place, he was still ruling the people of Sham. So Imam al-Islam is giving a reminder that up until this moment, you have not adhered to the teachings of Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Therefore, the first and the foremost condition in this peace treaty is that you will follow the book of Allah and you will handle the hukumat and the governance. You will base all of your rules and laws based on the sunnah of Rasulullah. You see how Imam ﷺ did not attach the sunnah of the previous khulafa. Could have easily said the sunnah of the khulafa rashidin. He didn't say that. Because if you follow the sunnah of Rasulullah and if you follow the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everything is included in it. It's all encompassing. Because no one else should have altered anything after Rasulullah, and nothing should be different after Rasulullah. And Quran backs up this idea when it says, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. That whatever Prophet gave you, take it. And whatever Prophet made you to stay away from, leave it. So with that said, there wasn't really any need to add anything upon it. Number two, Imam said, أن يقسم معاوية ألف درهم بين يتامى حرب الجمل والسفين. That this is again becoming more, you might want to say specific, that Muawiyah will distribute thousand dirham to the families of the orphans of the Battle of Jamal and the Battle of Siffin. So all those innocent people who lost their lives and who fought in these battles, they were unnecessarily posed against Amir al-Mu'mineen in his legitimate governance, according to them even. Well, according to our belief, he was Imam from the time of the wafat of Rasulullah, his imamat began. But if we follow what historical facts mention or the history of general Islam mentions, from that aspect, he was a rightly guided Khalifa Rashid, and his rule, his Khilafat was also something which was, legitimate. So to pose wars against him, that would be the ultimate crime. And we know who were behind the wars of Jamal and Siffin. So Imam Hasan, when he's making the peace treaty, he says what? That Muawiyah will divide and distribute thousand dirhams to the orphans of these two battles. Then Imam added another condition. He says, أن يترك سب علي, that Amir Sham and all of his workers will abandon sending curse on Ali ibn Abi Talib. Just imagine. The Sabbu Shatam was something which took place for 25 years and even in some cases longer. This was the normal practice that any of the Imam Jum'ah of that time, where the rule of Muawiyah was, they would ascend in their specific mosques that they had in Bilad al-Sham was big. So you have Dimashq, you have Homs, you have other places in Bilad al-Sham. They were all considered to be Bilad al-Sham. So there are a lot of mosques, a lot of places. There are a lot of Imam Jum'ah there. And what was addressed to them? It was addressed to them that when you go up on the pulpit, you begin by praising Allah and you begin by cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib. That was a common practice. And this is an undeniable fact which is mentioned. So Imam included that into this historic peace treaty to mention to you that if someone was doing Sabbu Ali, someone was cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib, was this person. And therefore, let's put this down as a documentation so that it remains as a proof so nobody can deny that they were not cursing Imam Ali and even Ahl Bayt in general. There's so many stories of that. Of course, it's Tuesday night program and I don't have a great deal of time. But that's the third condition of this peace treaty. Number 4, He says, Allah ya'huda Muawiyah bil khilafati ba'da mawtihi li ahadin. That Muawiyah will not give the khilafah to anyone upon his death. And he will not assign khilafat after himself. So if he realizes that, of course, everyone has to leave, I will, go ahead and give this khilafah to so and so. In fact, he began, and I will mention towards the end how he did not act on any of these conditions. In the year 56 after Hijrah, 4 years prior to, 5 years prior to Karbala, Muawiyah goes to Medina and he propagates, telling people his intentions about who the next Khalifa would be. And he was propagating about his own son Yazid. So Imam ﷺ writes this down as a condition that you have no right to go ahead and make anyone to be Khalifa after yourself. And then Imam says, Inna Shi'ata Aliyin aminuna ala anfusihim wa amwalihim wa yusilu ila kulli dhi haqqin haqqahu. That the followers of Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, are safe, aminuna, that means they are protected. Their nafs, their lives, their wealth are protected, and they will continue to receive their haqq, which has been stipulated, and nobody will stop that. So the hifzu abru of Shi'an Ali ibn Abi Talib, their mal, their jan, their wealth, their life, their women, their children, all of them will be protected based on this peace treaty. Imam ﷺ included another important condition in it. He says, Allah yukhatib al-Imam al-Hasan Muawiyata bi imra'at al-mu'minin. That Imam ﷺ will not be, responsible or made, it will not be lazim upon Imam ﷺ. It would not be obligatory upon Imam ﷺ to announce or to call Muawiyah with Amir al-Mu'mineen. So Imam ﷺ about himself in this peace treaty is writing that I will not call you Amir al-Mu'mineen. People might call you, but I will not call you, and I'll refrain from calling you that because that's not your correct title. So even that is put into this condition. So there are many other conditions that you find in this peace treaty that Imam ﷺ had made. These were all definitely in favor of Muslimin. The continuous fighting would not have done any good. More lives would have been gone, and more bloodshed would have been there. And plus, the increasing support for Amir Sham would have been more devastating for Shia Haidar Karrar. So Imam ﷺ made this peace treaty. It says, قَبِلَ مُعَاوِيَةً, and Muawiyah accepted it. هذه الشروط, all of these conditions. وغيرها, and as I said, there were many others. وهي لحفظ الإسلام عامة والشيعة خاصة. This was done all due so that to protect Islam in general and the Shias in particular. وأنهى الحرب, and that's ended the ongoing war and the battle. لكن لا يعمل بواحدة منها بل عمل بخلافها. Lakin, but he did not act upon any single one of these conditions. Rather, he acted against all of them. But this is documented. فَآهَدَهُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ مُعَاوِيَةُ وَحَلَفَ بِالْوَفَاءِ بِهِ وَشَهِدَ بِذَلِكَ عبد الرحمن بن الحارث وأمر ابن أبي سلمة وعبد الله ibn Amir ibn Qurayz and Abdullah ibn Rahman Abi Samra and غيرهم. He says that he made the mu'ahida and the covenant, and he did the half bardari, where he took the oath that he will remain steadfast as far as these conditions are concerned. He bore witness, and he took a lot of people who were witnesses over there, such as people like Abdurrahman ibn Harith, Amr ibn Abi Salma, Abdullah ibn Amir ibn Qurayz, Abdurrahman ibn Abi Samra, and many other people who were present over there. They all were witness of this historical event. So of course we see as initially the author wrote, that he accepted all of these conditions, but he did not act upon any one of them. Rather, he acted upon against all of them. And we could see what were the effects of all of those. And then when you try to explain this to someone, you find that how they try to tarnish the character of Imam Hasan alayhi salatu wasalam. For example, they will bring some allegations against Imam by narrating ahadith such as that Amir al-Mu'mineen ascended to the pulpit and he said to the people of Kufa, Ya ma'ashara ahli Kufa, la tunkihul Hasan fa innahu rajulun mitlaq. That, oh, people of the Kufa, do not give your female members of your family, your daughters, your sisters, into marriage to Hasan, because innahu rajulun mitlaq, he's a person who divorces a lot. So they right away associated this ilzam, this allegation, to Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba. Why? To go ahead and tarnish his character, because that's the easiest way of ripping someone's, or tarnishing someone's character. Kasrat izdawaj and kasrat talaq. Someone who marries a lot and someone who gives a lot of divorces, right away that person's character in this day and age also, regardless of what time you live in, would be under question. Would you marry someone who has given divorce to a few people already and has been married a few times before? So that he married frequently and he divorced frequently. There was a reason behind this whole propaganda, that the darbar of Muawiyah and then later on Yazid was filled with a lot of Nasara, the Christian, and who were, of course, in favor of Banu Umayyah. They tried to tarnish Prophet Muhammad's character before with the same propaganda, that Prophet's, izdawaj and his wives. And even today, this is one of the points that pick out about Prophet, try to, bring any sort of blemish into the character of Rasulullah. So why Christianity was involved in it? Because in Christian world, the best example for women is Bibi Maryam salamullahi alayha, whom Quran speaks so highly of, who of course never got married. As far as the men are concerned, Hazrat Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam, who of course did not get married. So the Christian world does not understand the importance of marriage, and that's why their priests, their highest the cardinals and bishops and their popes, they refrain from getting married. And of course, what happens then is another story, but they refrain from getting married. In fact, they say the one who doesn't get married is pure and pak, while Quran is the opposite of that. Prophet said, "An-nikahu sunnati, faman raghiba an sunnati falaysa minni." Allah wants to see you in the state that you're married to someone when you come and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. When you do the mulaqat of Allah in the state that you have been married, that is more dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Islam is the opposite of that. Very quickly, because I'm already out of my time, maybe a couple more minutes. Second blame or allegation that they had against Imam Hasan alayhi wasalam, that again, this is in their words, that he was very timid and he was not as brave as his brother Imam Hussein, because Imam Hussein stood up and he fought, while Imam Hassan made peace treaty. We need to understand that Rasulullah gave a prophecy about both of these Imams. Rasulullah has said that in regards to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein والسلام, that they're both Imam, qama aw qa'ida, whether they stand up or whether they sit down, they're both Imam. And this is a prophecy that one will stand up and one will sit down because of these situations of their time. And secondly, this peace treaty is, you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, as him being not brave. This is the biggest bravery and valor that you could say, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not congratulate Prophet after Battle of Badr, Battle of Uhud, even after the conquest of Makkah. Rather, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala congratulated Rasulullah by saying, we have given you the biggest victory, was after Sulh Hudaybiyah, when Prophet had made that peace treaty with the Meccans, and there were many amongst the companions who were doubting Rasulullah and his nubuwwat, saying that I've always doubted him to be a Nabi, and my doubt is now solidified. While Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the ayat by saying, Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. This ayat, You might have noticed it in the Kahoot program that we had. This question was also raised. When was this ayat revealed? Not after Fatih Makkah, before Fatih Makkah, after the peace treaty of Sulh Hudaybiyah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees this peace treaty as Fatih Mubin. Similarly, a lot of people from the time of Imam Hasan Mushta would see that to be a Fatih Mubin, a biggest victory for Imam. Well, a lot of people were questioning Imam alayhi. And then they questioned why Imam Ali remained silent for 25 years. And then, of course, the peace treaty between Imam Hasan. And then when Imam Hussein did rise to go ahead and counter, they said, well, Imam alayhi should not have risen. They opposed him rising up, and they opposed him going to the battle against Yazid in Karbala. So when they didn't stand, they questioned. When someone did stand, there were a lot of people at that time who were also questioning these stands. So all of these things exist. Of course, this was just a brief history lesson as to on this day in the year 41 after Hijrah, on 25th, 26th day after of Rabiul Awwal, Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba signed that historic peace treaty with Amir Sham, which of course was totally in favor of Muslim Ummah in general and Shia Haidar Karrar specifically. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to look into the history and to learn lessons from the history so that we don't repeat those mistakes. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to discern between right and wrong, to be able to realize and have our heart accept that which is right, even if it goes against us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our awaiting Imam and make us amongst the helpers and the soldiers of Imam. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Mutawajjih ziyarat. Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum ya Nabiullah, assalamu alaikum ya Habibullah, assalamu alaikum ya Khiratullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Abu Abdullah, assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abika wa ala ummika wa akhika wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس شموس وعنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض توسلي ابن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب الأسر والزمان، السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك شريك القرآن أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل. Inshallah, join us on Thursday night for our Shabbat Jummah program at 7:30. Salam